Thank you all for coming. It really means a lot to me. This is a really special book. Uh, and I'm not gonna tell you what it's about because you will not have any doubt about what it's about when you leave this room. But sometime during lockdown, around maybe April 2021, I had a virtual reading for a Brooklyn-based series, and I asked our colleague Josiah Lewis Alderete to read with me. And Josiah's a way better reader than me, but he had his first book out, so I was fine with the prospect of him blowing me off the stage. Jeffrey Joe's readings tend to be in threes, so I wasn't surprised to see a third name when the reading was announced, though I had no idea who this Mimi Tempest was. To this day, I'm not sure how she ended up on the bill, but I've come to suspect it was through Josiah. In any case, being the senior poet, age-wise, I was reading third, so headlining in a structural sense. As I recall, Josiah read first and totally crushed it like I knew he was gonna. But what I wasn't prepared for was Mimi Tempest. My memory of her was looking directly into the camera and fucking lighting it up. Jesus. It was like watching an MC, and in some sense, it was. I remember thinking, fuck. I'm not even going to describe it because you're about to see it. But she spit fire and lyricism in a way that I had imagined was possible, but never really heard anyone achieve. Now I was scared. Not that I could compete with that, but I had to do something now. And I'm not a performer by nature, as you can tell. And I only have been successful at reading by just not giving a shit. But that didn't really seem like it's going to cut it anymore when you're following Mimi Tempest. So I didn't die, but I felt lucky to get out alive. Anyway, Mimi had a new book, The Monumental Misrememberings from Co-Conspirator Press down in LA. So I ordered it, looked around it, carried around in my backpack, lost it, ordered another copy when I noticed it was being reprinted because the first run had sold out. Got the new copy, found the old copy, and finally read it cover to cover. Took me about 6 months. But I hadn't misremembered. Her poems were extraordinary, and she didn't even need to be in the room. I needed to try and publish her at City Lights. I wrote to her sometime the following summer. I was received with some curiosity and a great deal more skepticism. Nonetheless, I managed to get her to let me look at the manuscript once she was finished with it. That manuscript has now become the delicacy of embracing spirals. You don't need me to tell you what it's about because you will know. We're extremely fortunate to be able to publish her at City Lights. She's one of the most extraordinary poets I've ever had the pleasure of working with. She's already a star. You just got to see her once. So everybody, please join me in welcoming Mimi Tempest.
Who's this white man on my email? Turned out to be an extraordinary person who I'm very grateful to be the editor of this book. Today, I'm just a fat black bitch with a few good words. A court jester at best. Every black poet waits in line for their 15 minutes, regurgitating the last one's sonnet into a lackluster spinoff. Every black man's poem reads, I was killed today. I will be killed again tomorrow. America, you wish to consume or wear or fuck or frame my flesh. America, you were never America in the first place. Let us swallow our fist until the bruising bears resemblance of a broken chain. I am never at your mercy. They calculate every move, hovering to see if the academy gonna take the soul out of me as if I didn't offer it already in a Los Angeles basement in exchange for a simple day. 2016 got a few secrets on me. The devil got even more. I am imperfect in the most perfect ways. No idealism penetrates the perilous nature of my pen. I see the southpaw stance of their spoken word from a mile away. I prefer an orthodox rendering of my wicked tongue, a fading table sketch of an early Basquiat. Turn calamity from a violent cadence, a sicko's mindfuck. How far left can I take God's third eye? See. A portrait. My Latinx cousin smoking meth in the bathroom. In the room over, her toddler watches a gay cartoon, a landscape. My African friend begging for my hand in marriage for citizenship in a country that he doesn't even want to die in. A still life of my third abortion. No, my fourth. Graffiti of the line of coke I snorted the night before I moved to Oakland. I play God always. I'm as shameless as I paint myself to be. The Black woman's poem reads, I was raped today. I'll be raped again tomorrow. America, you wish to consume and wear and fuck and frame my flesh. America, you were always America in the first place. Let us swallow our blood until the bruising bears resemblance of a broken chain. I am always at your mercy. They calculate every move hovering to see if the loneliness gonna take the poetry out of me, as if I didn't offer everything in a Florida graveyard in exchange for a killer's aim. Shit, that's the second time I read that stanza. And the last piece, I refuse to bleed on this page, but bleeding is the only thing that seems worthy of your applause. Mimi, you're screaming at the walls again. Mimi, you shouldn't write it like that. Mimi, just shut up and do the work. Mimi, play the game. And Mimi, slow and steady wins the fake. And Mimi, tell us about your next. Mimi, be nice. And maybe your 15 minutes will last longer than the nigga ahead of you. The chip on my shoulder got a death wish. The arrogance can't even hide itself. It removed my head from the body and placed it off center, left on canvas. The eyes dilate, lava hot, a whispering window shot up from skull, cracked, dances into the yellowing of teeth. A cigarette spawn tells a telltale sign too good for this willowing scene, vibrating in opposition to the onslaught. Reverberation, safety tantalizes for luxury. I'm almost bourgeois. Bored. The reality is, if I don't hear the slit of the wrist transposed to the paint, what the fuck are we dying for? To be representational. I forget to be here all the time. Grounded just isn't my thing. It's the ones who prance proper, holy, who got the viciousness begging to crawl, naked, completely out their skin. Me, every wall was already taken. Every seedling of doubt was planted into a forest, decaying my wandering thoughts into a new beginning. Let's see how pretty I can make this frown look today. I feel like stopping. I've read this poem so many times, it's like in my bones. You know how Beyonce performs Crazy in Love at like every like performance she does? This is my Crazy in Love. So, and it happens to be the title of this book. The delicacy of embracing spirals duplicates a foreign tendency to graft a landscape. It dizzies itself to become peer pressured, grows through movement as time, the foot following the other makes steps sound like wind howling. All I ever have be the roundabout draining through the concept of a mind. Brain bears logic when magic decides to leave the room. I'm barely in my body. I forget to conjure it here. I hone frequencies out of possibilities masquerading as Sundays. I take up space. I take up moons. I swallow ecstasies. I grin big. Forget a face is what trains the world's eyes to fancy allergies. A meteor crash of a serious self, like how drunk and high and heartbroken the streets gonna leave me every weekend. Laugh at the minstrel showcase of a conscious being. Who you gonna be today? The tenacity fingering fiction of the human condition. Whose face you gonna sing today? Linger to ballad without teeth. Aligned to a cosmic counseling, fly not to think, blend not to blur. The lines of irrefutable irony, the x-ray of a melancholic poet, drug-addled, drunken demon, dreary, drowning, desperate without cause. Who you gonna be today? Greet them at the astral. Tell them it was all a lie. Tell them this form is a second. Tell them to dread the spiraling, to enhance the spiraling, to force the spiraling to manifest, the spiraling to embrace, the spiraling to distract, the spiraling to ride, the spiraling to stop, the spiraling to obliviate into madness and laugh at the fickle trickster who knows when to disappear into it all. I forget to laugh during the descent, the same self, the same question, take it all too seriously. The iridescent subject, the channeler, the menace, the griot, the society, and the society barking back at itself. Brisket doesn't talk only to kill the self. I was never here. I am never here. The here is never here. The moment counts down to consent, singularity, and electrodes of a heart monitor, charred teeth, charred soul. Frozen notes of fate awaiting the weight of its own feather and heart. Who you gonna be today? At the center of infinite, the body proclaimed a Black girl child. Each phase of puberty pronounced a testimony of humanity. Yet The audience wasn't sold on the performance. Perchance, power be in the voice of the child. A pistol trigger warning the child wields an entity through gritted teeth. The eye be collapsing. A primordial judgment to step foot on porous ground. Philosophical onto extortion. Burning passion onto exploitation. Violent for preservation. Be the rage. Don't perform it. Wear the rage. Don't let it get stuck. Break the rage. Don't fold it, fiend the rage, don't fantasize, surrender the rage, don't personalize, drift the rage, don't escape, stir the rage, don't let it build, feminize the rage, don't father it. Transcend the rage, don't let it become you. Sculpt fallacies only to tell the truth, be human always, but godless to your enemies. Be an enemy and reveal your palms to none, appeal to no one, and let your greatness parade for the masses. All the forces testifying for me to spit on laps. Forget that my gums have been numb for a pair of 8 weeks. I witnessed my foes, a road to bloodlust. Every tasteless and varying attempt to harm my spirit will make a star out of me. I never needed nor wanted it in the first place. No Machiavellian setup can humble the God behind my tongue. Who you gonna be tomorrow? Reveal too much. Say nothing at all. Fish for compliments in a sea of sharks, dressed finely only to let the wolves rip you to shreds, prance in their clothing every Sunday. Become a dusted metaphor or two, pretend to be a writer. Fancy yourself a rock star, scoff at the ridiculousness of a principled poet. You hear the spoken word slam? They ain't saying shit at all. Disappear into the key of destroy flat, gaslight the imagination, gaslight your mama, gaslight everyone in City Lights, gaslight the city, gaslight the you that plays Heyoka on stage, gaslight the audience, gaslight your sisters, gaslight the one man without a soul who claims to be your gaslight the city again. Pretend to have a name again, pretend to have a name again, pretend to have a name again. Do it again. Hide in the symbol of the nucleus, transcend the spiral, die fiercely only to be born again. In the margins of this third eye, a monarch butterfly exercises the feeling of you to be blossomed out of chaos. Honor the softness that craves to emanate from you. I care enough to observe the spectacle of myself. Charred innocence lingers its eyes into slumber. Camouflage youth impertinent to maturation. Flying north to eucalyptus. Forget the previous iteration of a soul's territory. Aim to testify upwards at the sky. Build this life as a temporary home. Chime exhales. Brew a prolonged death. Cry for no more here or what was or what is and what was or what was and is and what was and what could have been and what migrates. A heartbeat of endless topography. The shape of me conquers into regeneration. There's no values stationary in this grace, just an ounce of face daring to smile itself into oblivion in order to heal, except a close proximity to annihilation. Your nearest deathbed is a mirror. It looks a lot like my eyes. Depart from ego. Design a framework composed of lotus bloom and let your cynicism dissipate. Magic. Track with you like read poems, like life just kind of doesn't make sense. Good. Because life doesn't make sense. I don't even know if this book makes sense. Sometimes I think I know what the hell's going on, and then I'm like, why did I write that? Rat race. The Mickey Mouse in me wants to eat your face. They beg me. They beg me to steady my spirit when they can't take hold of my reins. I'm still dancing for myself. Riding angles until the soul can't break no more. Passive weekends with angels sounding their horns at my bedside. Blood gut deliveries received as pastel crucifixions, lucid reveries. Brain dead on Tuesdays, tugging at the wheel like we gonna run out of time. Running through the wheel like all we have is time. Grave dig into my ovaries. Find a muted universe, name it lilac, turn it red. Wishes writing their visions into a favorite conquest. Tell them all to make shift their own dreams. Make it desperate and begging for mercy. My lineage never taught me to be, just how to serve. I never wanted these prayer hands. I opted to be a project of eloquent violence. God is as real as she never was. They all got kingdoms hissing behind their eyes, yet failed to admit in order for a Black woman to worship herself as God, God must change. You see this guy bending over backwards anytime soon? Why wear a crown when you can make claim to your own head? What good is truth when all you can do is think about it? Decapitation is the friendliest reminder of our yearnings to revolutionary contaminations. There's no way of all seeing without being seen. This is organized in every direction. I endow myself as the monument of my own fantasies. Believe in this life as artifice with ancestors roaring in the cyclone of my middle name and segment firing from the back of my throat and every item delivering as my decency shedding itself through my descent into purgatory. The pros and cons of my faithfulness renders me the greatest Saturday. Sightings of me as a sage, less Marjorie Kemp, more Roxanne Shante, spitting cayenne takes between loads of laundry with mama's expectations hounding at my backside. The frenetic consciousness of my body holds more weight than the tedious posture of the poet. Chin up, eyes down, snarling niceties and the grace of fairness, hit the mic and gravitate into a flow, only to ask my mind's mirror, are there passions that you have or passions that have you? How many interpretations can be had before the utterance of a single word? Will you fall prey to the exhilaration and perils of being too loudly? Will you let this paranoia stick to your lungs? Is this an antebellum decadence, or do I have a bloodthirst to go round for round? My readiness is already being interpreted, hinted. I'm always auditioning to be something else. Tell on me. You got it all figured out. I'm a tyrant to this fashion, carrying my essence and audacity against a core, Black and unexcellent, human to a fault. A hybrid corpse defying continuum to become America's most brilliant psycho. A stream of consciousness sold downriver. Everything is available to pollute. I've been turned on. I've been metaverse. Being born with only a touch of reality, I refuse to be minimized. Y'all not gonna do me how you did Wanda. I've become righteously indignant and hyper aware of the whiteness that powder kegs this excuse of an interrogation. My new poem full of my ego instead of myself. Fuck it. My Los Angeles melancholia will wear its hat again, a compound fraction in the study of undeniable madness. I've been trying to destroy this reality since I first opened my eyes, surveying all the peace I can disturb if I've yet to find my own. This is my new high. Truth or dare? Truth or dare? Dare. Dare. Okay, I'll go first. I dare you to pick up a pen and not bubble in a poem. I dare you not to sleep on any prodigious Black woman's soliloquy. I dare you to hold these words and find yourself implicated in the violent acts that serve as backdrop to the blood spilled onto these pages. I dare you to hold your applause, to pull the machete out your neck. I dare you. I dare you. One more poem. One more poem from Mimi Tempest. Yeah. That's how I hear it in my head. One more poem from Mimi Tempest. Please come to the stage. When there's no one left to love, love on me. That's one of the saddest poems in this book. Whatever. Dear nobody. Hi. Fever stiffens to be sudden, like the way lovers are dispelled. I disassociate from my body to be a general to my thoughts. These warlike mosaic tapestries know more about me than what you will experience. A ghost of a drag queen dying on the floor. Blood rings risen, an apparition's performance of a performance, a holographic soul displayed in real time, if real time is what we actually have. I protect my uglier truths from my judgments, leave the omissions that are most obvious, like table meat fat. An omniscient perspective is for the fools who rush to play God. I'm much bigger in comparison. Driven by the crows sitting at my window, the pursuit of power is the first thought that comes to mind before we put on our faces. A brewing hurricane swallowing itself whole like a snake adventuring towards its own tail. Help me select the ways I will win today. Press play on my life and rewind through every standing ovation. Help me christen this plastic joy as my daily reminder. Pressure my essence. Get me to pretend to be good. Help me be reverent enough to this pen to become a master. It's comical. All the sadness that sits in me. The only difference between you and I, or you and me, is the colors of our straitjackets. I've yet to discover the ways this isolation will take pity on my heart, forecast a net of 1,000 inclinations to scream the same poem over and over. I refuse to die kindly over here or beg for sanctity. I have no love for Jesus. I reserve that obsession for myself. Here, have these problems. I dare you to hold me. I dare you to love me the way I ask you to. I dare you to revere my world. Let's get this wrong. I'm trying to find the fiercest frequency of my voice today. I study them all as they aim for my throat again. Adversity always comes wrapped in a smile, yeah? I'll fight every nigga in this mine. They think I'm shooting for glory, and the only heart I'm trying to win over is my own. I sit in the front row and the nosebleeds of all my audiences. If your ears possess the insight to see this clearly, then sure, you could be in on the joke too. I've been called to say this shit. They don't have the kill to say it themselves. Stutter autonomy through a locked jaw. Have the bravery to stutter it over and over and over to an eager body of wasteland prodigies trying to be somebody. Nobody, I am nothing at all. During the all at once. Peeling back the layers of skin to erase the concept of a lived life, I find a mood so solid that it trembles at the mercy of a phoenix preparing for flight. The theology of me creates the scripture, a violent piece of a Black woman worshiping herself, the goal, the cunt, the reality blessed to fruition. I'll have it all and let them drown in the deceit of my proximity. My assignment of purity gradually erodes. I'll raise hell simply if I can't have it my way. Sincerely, me. I see a lot of familiar faces and unfamiliar faces, and that makes me very excited. So thank you so much for coming.
I apologize for being late. I thought for sure that this was happening at 7 and I was teaching up to the very last minute, but a $40 Uber ride and I'm here. So it's okay. I made a promise to myself that I would never follow Mimi Tempest because in her own words, she says, I am going to be the baddest bitch in the room, Truong, always, and that I will slay. And so I arrived dead on arrival, and I'm grateful that I didn't have to follow my poetry with yours. So thank you for that. We're here celebrating your book, and I had my copy, and my student borrowed it this afternoon. So they all claim that they're broke, so I had to lend it to them. But what a book! What a fantastic and brutal book, I gotta say. In my commentary about the book, I referenced the book as a blade. So I guess my first question to you is, what are you cutting through, and what do you arrive at with this book? So
That's a great question. When I finished the monumental misrememberings, I remember thinking to myself, like, I didn't lie in that book. I just omitted so much because I was so interested in like the collective experience of being quote unquote a Black woman, or the identity of it. So it's very much a collective project. And with this project, I said, okay, well, what if I didn't omit the truth, but what if I wrote the truth how I wanted to write it? So a lot of this project is cutting through the bullshit by creating more bullshit, but the type of bullshit that makes me feel safe as a person and as a writer. And it's like the gun and the flower. It's like the part of me wanted to like come and arrive at this book with the gun, but at the end of the day, I think by the end of the book, I end up giving myself and giving the audience a flower.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I recently heard a writer speak, and he hadn't made a statement. He said that he's not very proud of many things, but he's proud of the fact that he's never written a single page from a place of anger. And when he said this, the audience, I heard this collective sigh and almost like embracing of that. And my first response to that was bullshit. And I'm gonna say that I my response was bullshit because I have some anger issues myself, but also because I had just finished reading your book, and there was something about this, the power of anger, and what is held in that consciousness, and also this idea that a writer of color who cannot access anger was just so unnerving to me. So I guess I want to ask you, what is the role of anger in your book?
That's a great question. I mean, the first question I have in response to that first statement is, who is the audience in that room? And I'm pretty sure we could get the context of who was in that room, because no room of people full of color would ever be like, yeah. Like, no. So that there's that context, but also, you and I have had a lot of, this is like the first time Truong and I are speaking publicly. It's very interesting. We speak very privately all the time, but I think you created a term that really helps me with my own anger in my poetry and just my own anger in life. And that's through our conversations about Wanda Coleman. And the word that Truong came up with, and I'm going to run with it, is righteous indignation. So my first response is, what poet of color in this country isn't angry? And if you're not angry, you got to look at a lot of shit about yourself, or just open up your eyes. You know, you scroll on the internet, you see babies dead. How are you not angry? So anger is to be owned, and it's to be, for me personally, constructively used. And I permit myself, and through my work, I permit others to be angry when they need to be, because it's your right to be so. But yeah, if we don't want to call it anger, I feel righteous indignation is the right language for that. It's just natural.
Thank you, Mamie.
Yeah.
When I first was asked to facilitate this conversation, I actually wanted to do my due diligence and ask Mimi if you wanted questions ahead of time, and Mimi said no, absolutely not. I want to shoot the shit the way that we always do. So this is all off the cuff. So and it's happening in real time as the world is happening. And
can I add something, Truong?
yeah.
Performing.
Yeah.
We're not performing.
So this is happening, and the world is happening right now. And I think this room could probably agree with me when I say that the world is pretty fucked up right now, right? So, and I believe things happen, and the reason, and that things are connected. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that this book comes out at a time like this. So what do you and this Hanzo blade of yours wants to what do you hope for? What do you want to do with this blade in the world?
I, I don't live by myself anymore. I mean, if we get to throughout the book, I think, and it's part of your work or an extension of your work, it's you think you're looking at me and I'm holding all of this, but I'm really looking at you. You know, you thought you were seeing my performance, but I'm observing you who has this expectation of the performance. So I'm delegating some of the work, quote unquote, to you, the audience. And we all collectively have to do our work.
So on that notion of performance, I speak of this in my own work, but and this idea of the performance of otherness. And some would say that we can't avoid it. Like, so how do you hold and respond to that notion that we as people of color, as writers and artists, can't avoid that performance of others?
I think those archetypes, right? The expectation of a performance into archetypes, which is what the second half of the book addresses. But I like this notion of, I don't think we can avoid the performance because the gaze is always present. But what if we could, it becomes a rhetorical question, what if we could make shift our own performances and own it in a way that's beneficial to us in whatever capacity that is the best? Yeah, I don't think I have an answer. I haven't reckoned with that. And I think that's a question that I won't get to until much later in my career. But at this point, that's my answer.
I guess for me, it's how do we subvert our own performance? You know, because yeah, I'm coming to a place in my own life where I don't know if I could avoid it, but I think I could subvert it in some ways.
To just paint it and give it right back to you. Yeah. On why the Black artist isn't seen smiling, is never seen smiling. To those unborn who dare to pick up the pen, when you open your history books, look back on this year, ask where all our teeth went, our answer is simple. It's not because love wasn't caressed into the seams in this current nightmare life silhouette. It's not because we failed to wake up every morning without you on our minds. It's not because we lived in hell in a year and a year exposed 400 years of a failed human experiment. It's not because we didn't stitch every word to fulfill your prophecy. It's not because every word stitched prior didn't help us walk in our own. It's not because we weren't envisioned to inherit the heaven that is already ordained with you. Our answer is simple. It's because our teeth were never here to begin with. Every utterance of this poem is a prayer in your name. Every prayer in your name is a possibility to fulfill a future that always existed through the alchemy of our designated tongues. Our prayer is simple. May there be less dead leaves withering during your fall. May your mind and body know rest. May wisdom reverberate from your lungs like air. May the words sing in your ears like honey. May you create and fulfill your own glory. May the streets you walk be clear and fully paved. May you make love and know it as the world's only gold. May each stanza bear themselves naked to you. May the chatter of their false ideations be heard as lull. May you try and fail and try again to succeed. May you succeed only on your terms. May your pen write in the same cadence of your heart. May mother be behind your tongue always, and may your heart fill with no bounds. May the universe announce itself in your presence. May joy always whisper jewels from over your shoulder. May death be kinder to you than she was to us. May your life experience no limits or frames or cages. May your lessons be learned hard and fast. May you forgive our mistakes and misunderstandings. May you pass your inheritance to the next generation. May time be your companion, not your cosmic overseer. And may every Black body not be a dead man's sonnet. And may every tear shed on a Black woman's cheek not be understood only as soliloquy, and may the laughter of a Black child be heard as grace in haiku. And when your words find refuge on the page, write like the gods are the only ones reading your soul. Write as if you are revealing yourself as God too. Our prayer is simple, and you, brilliant one, were always the answer. Thank you.